for motion graphics and visual effects. Artists and post-production professionals rely on After Effects to generate visually stunning work for film, TV, video, and web. After Effects brings life and motion to graphics, whether it's as simple as animating a title across the screen or as complex as building a 3D world.
Hey guys, welcome back to another basic series training from creativevfx.net. So today, as you saw on the introduction video here from Adobe's own site, we're talking about effects. So the video you just saw was just a very short introduction of one of the, or some of the many possibilities you have with using this incredible intuitive software. So you can apply effects in many ways, and that's what we're going to look at today. But we're just going to go through the very, very basic stuff. So what you saw before was, of course, a lot of time spent on different projects, spending everywhere from 24 hours up to weeks, maybe months even, when you're working on bigger projects. Okay, so let's look at the basics. Right now, because we don't have any layer or footage or asset in our timeline window, we need to create something here before we can actually apply an effect on. Because as you see right now, up in the menu button, effects panel is just grayed out. So in order to do that, let's just import a simple layer, a solid. So Control Y. Let's give it a bluish color. Hit OK. Okay, so now we have a solid. Now our effect and tools panel up here are all available. So one way is just, make sure the layer is enabled or selected, and then go up to the effect, and then from your effects panels you have different main effect categories. For example, blur and sharpen, you have subcategories or sub effects under that category, different kind of blurs, channel, then you have lots of effects inside that categories, and so on. So these, most of them are After Effects own built-in arsenal, but you will see, for example, Null Light Factory, Magic Bullet, Video Copilot, Red Giant. These are all third-party plugins I have installed just to enhance my workflow. So instead of applying them from the effects tool panel here, you could also just go to the Windows, and from Window hit the effect and preset, and now it's available over here in the right side in this panel. So effect and preset. So if you know what you're looking for, you can just write it up here. That could be blur, then you have everything that's related to the blur effect. And basically, while the layer is selected, you could just generate, let's see, grid, double click on that, and it's going to apply to this layer. Let's see. See, it's effect. So that's an effect we apply to that. And you can, of course, apply multiple effects. So right now, you see, we applied the grid layer or the grid effect to this royal blue solid layer. So now what we're seeing is the grid effect, and over at the project panel, you have your effect control. So basically, the controls you see here would be the same if you scroll down, if you twirl down the effects section in the properties inside this layer. So every time you apply an effect to a layer, it will this effect section will append to that selected layer. So if you twirl that down, you'll see the grid effect. It's the one we just applied. So look what happens if we apply another layer. Let's take the gradient. Double click that. Now look, another effect came under effects, create and gradient ramp. So, and what does this mean? You can all see it's an effect by this symbol out here, effects. So if you twirl down this arrow next to the effect name, you will actually see the same options, the same parameters as you see up in the project panel. So basically, it's the same thing you're seeing. It's just much easier, the workflow to work inside the project window, because you will have a lot of layers here in the timeline. So now we have two layers applied to the royal blue, and remember, as in the previous lesson with keyframing, that every parameter in After Effects has keyframing options. Also, the the effects. So for the effects, if you look scroll down, it has stopwatch, just as we talked about earlier. All of these stopwatches are keyframe available. So you can actually set keyframes for all of these parameters and basically animate them. So for the anchor, you can animate these values, border this value, feather this value, and so on. Gradient ramp, all these values can be modified from the effects panel. So and how After Effects works is that you have your stacking order, just as the layer order. Right now we have number 1 here. So the first layer you applied was a grid, and that's in the top. So depending on the look you're going for, you might be in a situation where you sometimes need to switch these around so it looks at the gradient ramp first. So you can do that just by take the first effect and drag it down below, because when the grid is above the gradient ramp layer, look what happens. The gradient is taking over this part, this portion of the comp window. So another great example to show you is another way of some effects are not in the preset section or in the effects tab up here, or even if you right click and choose effects, because some of the effects are inside the time factor. And here the time, it has remapping, reverse layer, as it says, it will reverse layer. Time stretch, you can use this actually to speed up or slow down a footage, but we want to use time remapping for that. So let's start by importing our footage. I hit Control I, and I'm gonna choose this PNG sequence, which I rendered out from Cinema 4D, which is an third 3D integration tool too. It's actually a free application software, but it integrates really well with After Effects, so well that those two software companies, Adobe and Maxon, has merged, and they're not merged like that, but they have integrated Cinema 4D in a light version into After Effects. So you have it up here in Effects, you can see Cinema 4D here. So this is actually part of the CC Adobe package. So enough about that. Let's check our imported footage and put it down on a create new comp button, and that will instantly show up on our comp window, and my resolution is full spec. And let's just play it in real time, see what this little clip is about. Okay, a little short clip. So I want to just show you one last thing here before this tutorial ends. So the time remapping, an effect again, right click, go to time, enable time remapping. When I hit that, it's gonna generate two keyframes, one at the beginning, one at the end. Okay, so basically what we want is, and you can actually work faster if you put it in half res. It's gonna preview a little bit faster. I want, when we see the ball appears here, I want it to go slow, so I'm gonna add a keyframe here, and then right here where it hits it, another keyframe, and then I want it to go fast from here. So this part is the slow motion part, this part is the normal part, and then from here to here, I want it to go fast. So now we have these different keyframe. And remember also another thing is that you can actually right click on the keyframes. You can see what the value is, that this is at keyframe, or this is at frame 30. You can edit the value. You can choose the keyframe assist and go easy ease on this keyframe. And easy ease basically means it's gonna make, instead of right now these are linear keyframes, with the easy option you're gonna have a much smoother transition. The best way to describe that is by looking at the curve editor or the graph. So if you look at hit the graph, it's gonna show the keyframes in a graph editor. If we hit that, just to show you quickly, these are all linear keyframes, but you remember number 2, this one we just made, we applied an easy to it. So if you go back, that's keyframe number 2. So go back to graph editor. Here you can really play with the values, you know, so it speed up, bumps up, and then it slows down and go linear up again. So this is a whole new tutorial for itself. You can really do some really nice editing, speed up and slow down effects inside this timeline. So let's go back. So we wanted from this part to this part P slow, right? That means we need to drag these 3 keyframes out. We'll do that by first go to composition, comp settings. We want to add more keyframes to our composition. So that extended, and we can see that by zooming in on our timeline. So let's go all the way back. So this is now draggable all the way to the end. And remember, with every layer you put here in the timeline panel, you can get this handle and drag in or out the in point or out point. So we'll take these 3 keyframes. Remember, we wanted this part in here to be slow. So that means in order to be slow, right now everything is normal. We'll just take these keyframes and, you guessed it, drag them out. Now this point, from this keyframe to this keyframe, is going to slow the frames in between that we just dragged out. So let's see what's going to happen. It's going to here. So you see here it's normal, and then it's getting slow, and then normal again. And so this part is slow and then normal, and then let's say we want from here to be really fast. We'll just take the out point, and move it close to the second last keyframe, and now it's gonna go really slow, this last part. Let's go back to full. So that's basically a little about keyframing. So let's see here. We're here. Normal and slow, and then normal again, and then very fast. So that's the time remapping. Actually a cool effect. It's been used in movies like 300. You know, the effect where the mad King Leonidas, he slays everyone on the field. Almost he breaks out of his the ranks, and then he just goes berserk, where they do these different close-up with the camera. That's actually one of these effects. So a lot of options, a lot of things you can do. So guys, that was everything for today with this short tutorial. I hope to see you again for next lesson. Remember, this is the basic series for After Effects training. So see you next time on Creative VFX. Have fun.